I want to dive into a topic today that really it affects people who have ADHD or ADHD-like symptoms. So there are so many people out there that tell me, I've never been diagnosed with ADHD, but I have a lot of the signs and symptoms, so I suspect that I have it, right? So this information is going to be something that's important to dive into for those people. We're going to talk about how to improve your focus, or what not to do to steal your focus so much, and what you could do to get a better result. So I'm Dr. Jeff Cumro, and ultimately what my goal is to improve neurological function to the point where stress and neurodevelopmental disorders, right? So learning disorders, ADHD, dyslexia, autism, autoimmunity, things like that don't affect your life so much. So what do we need to do to really improve the focus of people with ADHD? So if you have ADHD, what can you do to improve your focus? And it's important to understand that focus comes in multiple different ways, right? The focused attention that a lot of people are talking about is a left brain function. There are other types of focus that are right brain. There are about 5 different types of focus. 4 of them are on the right brain, 1 of them is in the left brain function. So when we see that left brain function not there, then we have trouble paying attention to things. An example of this is when my autoimmunity was at its worst. I was in college, and I would sit there and try to study, and I would read a page, and I'd get to the bottom, and I'm like, I didn't pay any attention to any of that. So I'd start at the top, and I'd pay attention, and by the end of the page, totally lost again. It would take me about 3 times to read every single page. And obviously that makes learning difficult. It makes everything take longer. You're just not as effective in general, right? And like I said, mine was caused by autoimmunity. Other people have it, they're just exhausted. Some people have it because of, like say developmental, or not developmental, but they're getting a little degeneration, dementia, things like that can actually affect some of that as well. So there are a lot of different reasons that people can have this. What can we do to minimize that? And the first thing is it's important to look at what we are doing in general. How are we learning? What are we spending our time with? And the important thing to remember about this, dopamine is the thing that controls that left brain function. If you have too much dopamine, you basically just you run and run and run and run and run, and you've got these loops going on, and you can't ever just focus, right? So what we need to do is minimize some of those dopamine hits, because too much dopamine is just it's similar to not having enough dopamine, right? If we don't have enough dopamine, we can't fire these things as well. But if we have too much, we're firing so fast that it's kind of like, so there are 2 different ways that you can run out of energy, right? You can not have enough built, or you could just run yourself all crazy and hectic and just run out of resources, right? Either way, you get the same thing. You don't have enough of the resources left over to actually move yourself forward. And that's often what happens with this dopamine, is we either have a situation where we don't have enough dopamine in the system, or we're just running through so much dopamine that we just can't keep up with the production, and we run out. So we don't have that focus we want. The biggest reason that I see that we continue to run through this dopamine is everything we do is a constant dopamine hit anymore, right? So when you're playing on your phones, your iPads, your computers, different things like this, games are now designed. Why do a lot of these gaming companies hire neuroscientists? They want to figure out ways to make the game as addictive as possible, right? Because they make their money by getting you to play it for a longer period of time. So we pull out our phones, and we're sitting there and we're scrolling through our phone, doing whatever we want. Every single time that we're scrolling, we're getting another dopamine hit. When we're scrolling up and down, it fires that stress system to continue to drive you, to activate you, agitate you even at points. And we're doing all of this on a regular basis, and it just depletes everything we have to do. Now, what has changed in education over the last 10 years or so? We've moved a lot of things onto an iPad, right? Why do people not learn as well on an iPad as they do a pen and paper? There are plenty of research studies to back this up. Any guesses? There are a couple. First of all, they don't have the sensory input. So, it's not the same just tapping something over and over again as it is writing something out. So with that writing, with all of that, you got the visual input, you've got the physical movement aspects with it, you've got the touch that goes with it. When we're just doing, the scrolling and the tapping, it's a totally different animal. It's something we do on a regular basis anyway, right? So it's harder for that repetition to actually lead to any learning. Other aspects of this, we're constantly running through that dopamine. When that dopamine is depleted, you run out of it, right? So blue light is very activating. So there are multiple levels of this technology that are actually depleting our ability to learn or to focus or to do different things like that. Another study that's very interesting in this, people who read on tablets don't remember as much as people who read physical books. Why is that? Again, you got the same thing. You kind of burn through some of that dopamine that you're using to learn and to grow and to focus. You're burning through that on that tablet, where you don't burn through as much with a book. That leaves more of it to actually develop some of those neural connections and expand the brain. So if you are doing any of that, then that's something we need to stop, right? Because if we don't stop that, then you're continually in that cycle. So what should you do instead? There are a couple of different things. We need to have more analog learning, right? Because if we don't have that pen and paper, the book in front of us, things like that, we continue to run through this. So first of all, moving to that type of system can be a very powerful thing. But there are other ways. Making sure you're getting plenty of sleep. Why is sleep important to all of this? Have you ever had a night where you didn't sleep well? How was your focus the next day? How's your demeanor? Did you run through your energy faster? If we don't have the resources available, we tend to have more difficulty with this stuff because we don't have as much ability to make new resources. We're just constantly in that stress state to try and move ourselves forward. Stress handling techniques can also be something that calms down the system and allows us to do this better. The types of food that we eat are very, very important on this. And then one of the biggest thing is brain training. When we do proper brain training for things, so when we look at the function of somebody and we look at the areas that are not functioning as well and we can stimulate those properly, we can move that step forward, right? So it all comes down to a few different things. We have to have the resources that are available. We have to have the ability to fire the areas that are necessary. And then we have to be able to fire them long enough to actually get the desired result. So ultimately, that's what we have to do, is set our bodies up to have the resources available, have that focus and attention, and have the neurological resources. And that's ultimately what we do in our office. So I hope that this helps you. Obviously, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. You can drop a comment or send me a direct message, and either one, I will do my best to get back to you and help you find the answers that you need. As always, I appreciate your time. I love and appreciate you guys, and I really, really appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me. I know that that's one of your greatest resources, and it means a lot that you spend it with me. So if you do find this beneficial, please like and subscribe. It gives me a lot of information as far as what you guys need, where we can actually give you more benefit out of the videos that we're sharing. So have a great day, and I'll catch you on next week's video.